Share screen.
Whose ceiling fan is that?
I thought it was yours.
Oh, that's Jamie.
Oh my goodness. This is doing something funky on my computer here.
It looks
I just
psychedelic.
see everybody multiple times. Me. Okay, there you got ugly truth, cyberbullying, and suicidal thoughts.
Okay. So we are also on recording, so it's being recorded. That way everyone else can watch who wants to watch it. So to start off this workshop, we're going to first introduce me. You guys all know I am a marriage and family studies major, and this is for my family practicum class. And I am a student at BYU-I. We're going to start talking about the brain development and the changes that happen at adolescence. It's actually phenomenal what goes on in the brain, and it helps explain why your teenager starts, it's not even a teenager, it's about, depends on between girls and boys. Girls are usually around 8. Boys, are usually a little bit older, and they start acting crazy. When DJ hit, it was probably closer to 12 for him. He was so daring. He had built this homemade ramp with tree stumps and plywood and was riding his bike. We had a hill, so it was downhill and up this ramp to see how much air he could get. It was so unsafe. And no matter how much we told him, DJ, this is unsafe, you're going to get hurt, he wouldn't listen to us. And we told him, put your helmet on. He wouldn't wear his bike helmet. So, needless to say, the road won. He ended up with road rash all like on his arm when he crashed and slid down the street and gave himself a really good road rash. At that point, he realized, yeah, I think mom and dad were right on this incident. So what leads to this irrational behavior and just kind of daring, it has to do with the brain, the front part of your brain here. It starts to, it's like pruning a bush. When you cut, it's like the brain is cutting back what's not used, and then it's gonna make stronger connections. So when we cut back a bush and then it regrows, it's stronger, nicer. Same thing with the tree. You have a much more nicer tree. So that's what happens in the brain. But it takes up until 25 years old. So it starts, boys 10, 11 until 25. Girls, it's about 8 to around 21, 22 is on the average. And I'm going to switch slides. I have this video to show you.
I can see the video, but I can't hear it.
Yeah, that's not working.
I don't know why you can't hear it. That's weird. Let me, because that's going to be a problem. We have more. Now it gave me an error.
Individual attains a stable, independent role in society.
Starting to hear it.
Okay, I turned Alexis's her speaker on. I gotta mute myself.
I just totally gave him a bunch of candy. I don't care.
Okay, he'll be bouncing off the wall in about 15, 20 minutes. Don't get mad at him.
Whatever works.
Okay.
Revealing that it's not all over in early childhood, and instead, the brain continues to develop right throughout adolescence and into the 20s and 30s. So adolescence is defined as the period of life that starts with biological, hormonal, physical changes of puberty and ends at the age at which an individual attains a stable, independent role in society. It can go on a long time. One of the brain regions that changes most dramatically during adolescence is called prefrontal cortex. So this is a brain.
Is it possible for that volume to go up louder?
Interesting brain area. It's proportionally much bigger in humans than in any other species, and it's involved in a whole range of high-level cognitive functions, things like decision making, planning what you're going to do tomorrow or next week or next year, inhibiting inappropriate behavior, so stopping yourself saying something really rude or doing something really stupid. It's also involved in social interaction, understanding other people, and
I can't get it to go louder. And I need to mute my speaker. That's not going to work. I need earphones. Okay. So, do you hear the echo?
Yes.
Okay. I have to. Is that me? Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. This is going to be hard because I'm going to have to go back and forth between computers, muting and unmuting myself. So part of the brain development creates moody teenagers, and they tend to want to make everyone feel miserable and cranky, and the reason behind it is that with the brain going through all the trimming and making new connections, they can't help it. And as the teenagers get older, because Jennifer and Jamie, you probably can realize the difference between like Caitlin and Kayla, how different they are now compared to when they started going through adolescence. There's a huge difference in them compared to, say, Marcus and Bradley, who are at the lower end of adolescence. And they're being boys, it's going to take them a little bit longer to get through it. So we have our cranky teenager, and another thing teenagers are notorious for is their inability to organize themselves. Now you guys have to laugh. My partner Michelle, the other picture was her son, and he's 12 years old. So that was the perfect picture. That's how he is. And this is her disorganized house that she was able to take a snapshot for us. And I think that is her daughter's room. And so you wonder, as parents, we get frustrated with our kids. We want the house to be neat and tidy. And you'll say, go clean your room. And they're in there forever, and you go, and it's still a wreck. And you want to beat yourself, beat them over the head, and they seem to know where everything is at in that disorganized mess. So other things that's going on with, besides the moodiness and disorganization, the impulsive behavior, and let me turn my page. So with the brain, we also tend to think more brain is better, but in the case here, it's not. It's the brain is going through, say we have a meadow and you have animals going through the meadow every which way, and soon they start carving a path, and they soon start taking that same path through the meadow. And that's what's happening with the brain. The connections are going to make the same path, and that path will get stronger and stronger. So my first question is, how is the best way to deal with your teenager being moody and disorganized? Any input?
I think that knowing that their brains are changing and maturing helps understand to where you just have to be tolerant.
Yeah. And some of it is being tolerant. The other things we can do are set up organization systems. I know with Alexis and Hannah, when they hit middle school, they had a binder for every class, and they had to put the papers in that binder for that class to help keep them organized. And sometimes it's, with the kids with the homework, you have to remind them getting on the bus or sending them out the car door, remember to turn your homework in. And then sometimes they will forget. But I think it's also important to talk to the teachers and say, because sometimes teachers like, it's late, I'm not going to take it. But teachers need to be understanding and accept it. Oh, I got a text.
I'll try to join us again.
Okay. So the other important thing is learning to listen to the adolescent, listen to them, and accept them for who they are. And remember, we're all work in progress. There's it. That's just, that's how we all are, work in progress. Now, we're going to move on to technology and communication. So, today, our form of communication with our kids is completely different than what it ever has been. There's a lot of texting, parents texting the kids texting their parents to let them know where they are after school. There's a catch between the kids and the texting and the parents and their texting. The kids do it so much faster, they get frustrated with the parents because the parents are slower at texting. And so there's also finding a balance between the texting, because like parents tend to be more old school where they prefer a phone call, and a phone call is not always like, if they're in school in class, they can't make a phone call. There's also in communication, moms spend more time engaged in conversation with their children than what fathers do, because the mother is generally the one doing the homework. However, trends are changing, and there are beginning to be more dads that stay home with their kids. So, Sam, you're not the only stay-at-home dad. There's let's see, the next slide. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can hear this video.
I could text pretty quick.
That's good.
There's some people, though, that text super slow and it's almost unreadable.
Yes. Like the video, how he's just going 1, 2, and it's so slow, and that's how the kids feel with this. So typically the parents are gonna text the kids because that's what they want, and they know the kids can't receive a phone call at the time. But with all this texting and phones, how are we going to set rules and boundaries? Do you hear it?
No. I can read it.
That's basically all it is.
Are you okay? I told you to quit playing around the TV. You already scratched it.
So, as you read in the little video, there's room for boundaries to be set with between computer usage and cell phone usage, tablets, because we don't want our kids glued to technology 24/7. And there's stuff out on the internet we don't want our kids getting a hold of. There's bad stuff out there. We don't want them to get in touch with there's people who pose as they're another teenager, and they're child sex predators, and we want to protect our kids from that. And with the parents wanting to protect their kids, it also leads to tension between the parents and the adolescents, because the adolescent wants more freedom. They want more self-control. And they feel when the parents are monitoring what their sites they're on, that is violating their privacy. And so part of adolescence, we have to redefine our boundaries. And I have another slide. Let's see. I think it's just picture ones. Yeah. Oops. I got to get the sound for you guys. Let's see. Here we go.
As a parent, youth worker, or teacher, you may not realize the impact you have on the youth in your community. Young people with mentors are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. Those with mentors are also more likely to have a better relationship with their parents, better communication skills, and higher self-esteem. But how do you build positive and meaningful relationships with youth? 1. Be genuine. Get to know the young person, their personality, interests, and future goals. This will build trust and cultivate a meaningful relationship. 2. Listen. Put away the phone. Turn your body towards them and make appropriate eye contact. Be fully present and don't think about how you will respond. Paraphrase what is said. This shows you're listening and encourages them to open up. 3. Create a psychologically safe space for youth to discuss what's on their mind. Don't rush to judgment or shy away from conflict. Ask clarification questions to understand issues from their perspective. 4. Provide perspective. Adults can help you consider multiple aspects of a situation. When obstacles seem overwhelming, mentors can help put those challenges into perspective and offer guidance. 5. Foster decision-making skills. Help youth explore options, consider consequences, and seek help when needed. Ask how and what questions. They encourage youth to think critically. Avoid why questions. They often make a person feel defensive. 6. Acknowledge success. Celebrate their accomplishments and ability to navigate their challenges. This will strengthen their ability to persevere towards larger goals. So how can you learn more about mentoring Muslim youth? At the Family and Youth Institute, we specialize in providing communities with practical, research-based mentorship skills. Whether you are a parent, teacher, youth worker, or study circle leader, we have resources for you. Our resources include multiple interactive youth development workshops, free articles, videos, infographics, and webinars. To learn more, join our email list and find us on Facebook and Twitter. Support us by sharing this video and donating so we can develop more resources.
Okay. You guys there?
Yep.
Okay. So some of the hints that they gave is to be genuine with your adolescent. Learn to listen to them. And part of listening is when they say something to you, be able to paraphrase back to them what they said and get clarification. And the next slide. Part of our adolescents giving them some control is based on this. It's the trust cycle. You have to trust them and give them some responsibility. Let them prove themselves, which earns them a little more freedom, and then they get more trust, and it keeps going. And so as they get older and closer to 18, they have a lot more freedom because they're proving themselves. Anybody have any questions on that?
I don't think so. I think this is stuff that I'm going to have to learn about again when they're older.
You will, because there's a difference between toddlers.
I'm going to be an old fart by the time they're teenagers.
By the time they're teenagers, you probably will actually have more.
Hey, what are you doing? Hopefully. No, come on. He's sitting here dumping his milk out onto the floor and playing with his train through it.
Oh, of course. That's more fun that way. So,
Why drink it?
well, he may lay down and lick it up.
Make him.
So,
Hey,
Hey, come
sorry,
on.
I've been
Come on.
muted. My mom had to
Hey,
leave.
no.
Using up all
Use
the
up
data.
all your data.
Yes, I was like, Mom. why
Does
you
she
have
not
to
have
cut off?
Does she not have Wi-Fi at her job?
She's not connected to us. I had to help her.
Let go.
My comment is that what Sam's dealing with as a toddler, that's pretty much what you should deal with as a teenager, except they use words. That makes sense.
Awesome.
Sam, can you mute your mic?
You don't want to hear that screaming?
You can mute it if you want.
That's okay. Most of you guys hear it too.
Use the words, Francisco.
Careful, now you're falling.
All right, I gotta go plug in before my phone dies, but I'm gonna mute again. I just thought that was a pretty good live visual of teenagers are like this, except you can somewhat talk to them.
Yeah, true.
I've got to go plug my phone in.
They'll give a reasonable response, but then
This uses up the battery quick.
It does. So let's take a 5-minute break. Get your phones plugged in.
Nope, you stay down here. Nope, bye.
Let me know when you guys get back.
I've got to make something for Francisco to eat.
Okay.
I'm here.
Of course, I can hear just fine. I have you guys on my Bluetooth speaker.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just dusting my house.
I'm here.
Okay. So we'll continue now. We're
All right.
moving on to the good topic of cyberbullying. And cyberbullying is any form of bullying. It takes place over digital devices, cell phones, computers, tablets. It occurs through text, social media, where people can share and view. It's sending, posting, sharing negative, harmful, false, mean content about another person to cause embarrassment or humiliation. Some cyberbullying crosses the line into unlawful criminal behavior. The hard thing about it is the perpetrator, they're usually doing it anonymous. And so they're saying these, a lot of times it's mean, hateful things. You're ugly.
They say more stuff than that.
Well, a lot of it is you ought to go kill yourself.
Yeah, and a lot of times adults do the same thing, especially on Facebook.
Yes. And the bad thing about it is the fact that it is causing those kids that are being bullied to commit suicide.
Yeah, I've heard of a few and they're very young. It's sad.
Yes. You know, that's why it's such an important topic to discuss.
It doesn't cost anything to be kind, and these kids just, I don't know why they do it. People were mean and bullied me when I was a kid, and that was even before the internet.
Exactly. So,
this is Jennifer.
Hi.
I think some kids even do it and they don't know it. Caitlin is in women's choir, and sometimes they have sort of like an open mic where anybody who wants to go up and sing a song can sing a song. And these two girls were singing a song from Tangled, and they were really into it, and it was kind of cringy. And come to find out, I saw it on her phone. She had videoed them and then sent a snippet to some friends. And
about it, not realizing that it's being bullied.
You didn't realize. I had to say, Caitlin, that's bullying. Like, would you want somebody to send a video of you without your permission to other people who know you or at least know of you, who go to school with you? Like, she didn't understand. She just thought, oh, this is so funny, and she shared it with a couple friends. Like, no, that's not okay. Like, she didn't even think that.
Yeah, I can see how they do that.
I think sometimes it happens. They're not even. They just think they're sharing something funny, but it's.
We're in a society, and I think you can go back to looking at like America's Funniest Home Videos, and you can see that was leading to somewhere.
And it's so easy to copy and paste things.
At the expense of others.
It's so easy to share things.
Yeah, you can just copy and paste it and share with anybody in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, Jamie, that's the danger of it.
Yeah.
And once it's out there, you can take it back. You already saw it. But you could stop spreading further, possibly, but can't stop it from who already showed it to or whoever. All right, I'm going to mute again.
I am going to share this video with you. I have to
get in your chair. Sorry, I need to mute myself.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear it.
This is a line, and this line is mine. You'll kindly find my feet and my spine are perfectly aligned. You'll also find that on either side is a plus and a minus sign. Right now I'm on this line, minus this. Now I'm on line. This is a line, and this line is mine. You will kindly find my feet and spine are on the plus sign. Now I'd like to assign and also define what one might find on this side of the line. I will not pretend that there are no consequences of saying something offensive online, no matter what my ignorant friend says. Words are all I have, and yeah, I know it's sad. We hide behind the mask of the latest social networking fad. So there's respect in my status, whether through Mark Zuckerberg or Tom, and I'll treat you the same in person, and yeah, I'll accept your friend request, Mom. This is a line, and this line is mine. You will kindly find my feet and my spine are on the minus sign. So I'd like to assign and also define what one might find on this side of the line. Now, I might seem unassuming, but if you only knew what I was doing, brewing, spewing, spitting venom when I'm at that screen, I ruin reputations, I will splatter. Typing faster, I get madder. All the insults I will gather. You're so lucky, it's only Saturday. You have one day, oh yes, Sunday, for my words to die away. And on that one day, oh, I must say, you're going to wish you had a different name. But then it's Monday, and at school, I'll remind them all of what I said. Then it's Tuesday, then it's Wednesday, then we'll all find out you're dead. This is a line, and this line is mine. And now that I've assigned what one might find on either side, you will kindly find that my feet and my spine are on the plus sign. And I'm not moving. Where are you?
I'm trying to mute the mic. Okay. So what I like about this video, it clearly defines the line between what is bullying and what is not bullying. And we have to somehow start teaching our kids, like what Jennifer did with Caitlin, acknowledge, hey, that's not right. And how would you feel if someone did that to you? Because that's what a lot of bullying is. It starts off with taking little pictures or videos and sharing them. And then it keeps revolving and getting worse and worse. Some interesting facts about cyberbullying. It's most prevalent in the 6th through 8th grade students. And I think it actually goes older than that. Females are 50% more likely to be instigators and victims. So it seems to be more frequently the females being victims, females starting it out. And it goes with teens acting out without thinking about what the consequences for their actions are. So they just think it's funny and, you know.
I think that actually even goes deeper just than that. You know, people just don't ever take into consideration the consequences of the actions and what they say, what they do, how they treat somebody.
Yeah. And it goes along with, really, before you speak, before you act, you've got to think. You got to think about what the consequences are going to be for your actions. So that way you don't get caught up in being the bully. And it's also important, if you notice yourself being bullied, to put your foot down. If if it's text messages, if it's Facebook, delete the Facebook account. Block, if it's a text, block that number so you don't receive those texts. And so avoiding it is going to take parents, people at school, so the school staff, the adults that interact with adolescents. So that's school teachers, coaches, just there's a wide range of people, young men leaders, young women's leaders. It's up to them to also help the parents prevent the bullying. And then, because we don't want kids to become a victim. And then when you find your kid doing the bullying, you have to talk to them. You have to explain it to them. So, and explaining and talking to them, it empowers them. And a hard thing for adolescents to do is to learn how to safely stand up for themselves. And if another adolescent sees someone being bullied, they need to have a trusted adult that they can go to, whether it's their parent, a friend's parents. Sometimes it's harder to stand up directly to the bully and tell them to stop it, because they're just going to laugh.
From my experience of being bullied, I don't think there really was a lot of people back then to talk to about it, or at least I wasn't made to feel like I could. And how I dealt with it is I just learned how to physically fight. And what that actually ended up doing to me was turn me into a bully. And that's usually the case. Kids who are bullied will turn into a bully.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I gotta mute. Arlis is awake.
Okay. But that is, and the bullying is there still is the physical bullying going on today, as well as the bullying through cyber, the internet. One good way, parents have to keep the lines of communication open. And they need to ask questions like, what is something good that happened today? Did anything bad happen? How was lunch like? Who'd you sit with? What'd you talk about? What's it like riding on the bus? What are you good at? And asking questions will help the dialogue. This slide is parents' presence on social media. Adolescents whose parents are their friends on social media are less likely to be cyberbullied. Parents who check and monitor their teen's social media are less likely to be cyberbullied and can help the teen deal with it. There's also another side to this that has to go with our adolescents trying to prove their independence, and they go behind the parents' back, and they'll have 2 Snapchat accounts, 2 Facebook accounts, to Instagrams. And the friends know who's the friend's account and which one is the parent's account, so that way they know which one their parents are monitoring. So that's a whole nother can of worms when kids do that. Which goes to the landscape of trust, and we have to teach correct values, what is good, what is desire, how we want them to act and behave, and the values that are most important are the ones that make the social cultural elements of society meaningful. So it's our Christian values, treating others kindly, that we're trying to pass on to our youth. Their actions reflect their values, and their actions also are, this is in the way here, it shows their intention, and their intentions impact their world. And as it goes, when the actions are negative, the intentions become negative. So we have to make sure that we have positive actions so their impacts are positive. So I have some questions. How can parents help prevent their teens from being cyberbullied? One way to prevent is talking to them. When you let them have social media accounts, they need to know prior to signing up and having access to them the consequences involved. And there's good consequences and there's bad consequences. And they need to be able to understand and how important it is that they have only one account and that parents are their friends on those social media accounts. And then the other way to prevent it is when parents hear and see it happening. Like Jennifer, she intercepted what Caitlin was doing when she saw the bullying happening. And that's what we have to do as parents. We have to nip it in the bud, stop it before it gets any worse. Now, this is the side effect of not just cyberbullying, but there's also people who fight depression. And so for both cases, parents have to be aware of the signs and symptoms of suicidal thoughts. You notice your teen feeling down and depressed. Well, that one's kind of hard because Sometimes they're happy-go-lucky, and then sometimes they're just mad. And that's a hard one to call. They feel hopeless. They try to injure themselves. And they feel like something is wrong. Adverse life events, when they're faced with trauma, it's hard on kids when their parents get divorced. There's divorced parents in the military. One gets shipped off to, out of the country on duty. That's hard on the kids. Those who have had physical and sexual abuse, especially during adolescence, they're more likely to have the signs and symptoms and to have the thoughts of committing suicide. When their parents aren't supportive of them, if they live in a household of conflict, that also can create the suicidal thoughts. Got another video, and we're almost done, guys.
You know, you're talking about keeping an eye on what the kids are doing online. One thing that would work well for parents to use would be a program like Boomerang, which will block all kinds of different apps and websites. It will also email the parent what they're trying to do, what they're looking at, as well as a browser called Spin, which will lock out all other browsers. So they only can use Spin, which is a very, very safe browser for kids. They're unable to access any kind of bad content through that. Plus, the parents could just not let them do much of anything. One thing they have to do, if they install an app on their phone, the parent has to approve that. It automatically sends a message to the parent that they have installed this app, and do you want to allow it or not?
That's good.
Right. This is Jennifer. I agree with that. I also feel like you can't just install filters and parental controls without talking about number one, why we're doing it, and number two, installing what I've heard referred as an internal filter on our kids through having casual conversations about pornography, sex, bullying, online predators. I feel like we can't just use filters and then say we've done our job. I feel like
I agree with that 100%.
That is so true. And that's what's so important about communication, is because we have to teach them. And we have to teach them
And we
young.
don't do that when all we're doing is using our phones and texting.
Well, there is that huge problem, Sam, where you see families and that's all they are is on their phones. And it's good to say have um family dinner. No phones at the table. Everyone sits down and eats together and have that time to engage in conversation without technology. And those who do that have more, it's more of a cohesive relationship with their kids, and the kids know they can talk to the parents that way when everyone takes time out and to ask questions. Parents have to ask questions to start getting the dialogue going, because especially when they hit adolescence, they're not an open book anymore. Unless they're DJ who likes to say what he did is wrong and wants to brag about it. But most teenagers tend to draw in. And so as parents, we got to draw them out.
I agree. I think also to expect some pushback too, because I don't know, remember where I heard it. I think it's maybe common knowledge that everybody wants to have some sort of boundaries, and they feel safer when there's rules, and but it seems so contradictory, especially with teenagers, when they're pushing back on rules and they're questioning rules and they're wanting to um, stay out later than what the curfew is, or whatever the case may be. Like, that's normal, but they still want the rules. Like, when it all comes down to it, teenagers who are surveyed say they feel like their parents care about them because they care about where they're at, and they check up on them, even though they're saying "get out of my business," with their whatever. But anyway,
they're verbalizing one thing, but internalizing, they know their parents care about them because there are curfews, there are boundaries, and
right. Teenagers can be scary because they, at least my oldest teenage daughter, her hormones and her attitude changes so fast. It's like, and they can be so tiring.
Yeah.
So tired of the drama, but
yeah.
But she really doesn't want me to give in. She really wants to push back and know that there's something there that's keeping her safe. She really doesn't want me to give in, like, subconsciously.
And that's where that cycle of trust, you have to keep the boundaries up. But there, as a child, you're in one place and you're slowly moving forward to become, they're growing up and they're in this cycle. And so they get more and more freedom as they prove themselves. So by the time Caitlin's 18, she needs to be able to automatically know that she's not going to get on bad websites, and she's going to have to choose, when she goes off to college. She'll have to make those choices of, keeping up what's been taught to her, the boundaries, and and giving them that slow freedom allows them, so that way they have the chance to make the right choices. And they have to learn how to make choices. So, an interesting thought here, back to the suicide, is those children that are in the welfare system are automatically at an elevated risk for being victims. They usually live in unstable housing. A lot of times there's mental health challenges, there's substance abuse that they're dealing with, and they usually don't have access to needed services. So generally, our kids aren't going to be faced with being in the welfare system, but there's friends that may. And hold on.
I think it's really important for all kids to know the phone number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline.
Okay.
It's okay to be feeling the way you're feeling and not to be ashamed of it and hide it. Because when you hide it, you don't deal with it. It just doesn't get better on its own.
Exactly.
Over the years, I've had many friends that I've known who have committed suicide. One of them was directly related to a friend's suicide, and this guy ended up blowing his brains out because he couldn't deal with the death of his friend who had done the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And that happens. So it's important to know.
Like two kids who were Parkland shooting survivors, and two of them have committed suicide just this week.
Oh gosh.
Survivor's guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Kids shouldn't have to be dealing with this kind of stuff. It's terrible.
They shouldn't.
What's that?
Today is the year anniversary that Shelby's little cousin committed suicide. And it's heartbreaking what aunt and uncle have gone through. And the two brothers that are left, the one is Hannah's age, the one brother that's their oldest. And he had a football scholarship to Georgia State. And he went out. It was in August, and he was there for a week, and he just couldn't deal with being away from home, with grieving for the loss of his brother. And so it's so important, and that people get the mental help and have mental health, and that we make sure that when it's the friend's friend or your child's friend or something. That happened to Michelle, who helped me develop this workshop. Her daughter had a friend at school who he was saying he wanted to commit suicide. She had come home from school, told her mom, and they called and reported it and got him help. He was mad at her daughter for like a year. Then he finally was able to apologize to her for treating her so horribly. and thank her for saving his life. But it took him a year to get to that point. So awareness and knowledge, is so important. And these are some resources where we can find help for the bullying. And that's on the email that I gave you guys. I don't know if you got the email, Sam.
Do you have my email address?
I don't think I do. If you text me your email address, I will email you this information.
It's really easy. It's samuelbbarrett@gmail.
Okay. I'll email it to you. That's easy to remember.
It's just one of them. I have like 3 or 4 different email addresses.
Well, samuelbbarrett@gmail. No dots in there?
Nope, all one word.
Okay. Because this is just good information to have. And then the next one is the suicide prevention line.
Yeah.
And like you said, everyone needs to have that.
I wish I would have known about any of that kind of stuff when I was younger, when I was dealing with suicidal thoughts and attempts.
Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Wow, that's Francisco. You see Francisco?
I see Francisco. You can't see me because the other computer died.
He's looking at himself and he sees himself and says, Cisco.
Oh, you're so cute, Francisco. You're even cuter when you're smiling.
I like him when he smiles. I mean, I like him all the time, but especially when he's smiling. And then there's this one over here, who is now standing and starting to walk.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi. Hi, Francisco.
Get off your brother. Get off your brother.
Oh.
Come on. Francisco tackled him a little bit.
Well, that's usually what happens. The little one gets picked on.
Yeah. He's very sensitive. Trying to balance my phone on a water slide. Francisco, come on.
Well, that is the end of my workshop. We have gone through it.
Tell your brother to shut up, huh?
I appreciate you
He's
guys
got good lungs.
for your time, input.
Come on, stop. Well, I enjoyed this. It was very helpful for me to actually hang out.
Francisco.
He's loud. He's got some lungs.
Shot caller.
All day, every day. And we've been going since, well, he woke up at about 3:30 this morning and never really went back to sleep.
Nap time.
He won't take it. I've given up on trying to make him take naps. I'll put him in his crib, and last time we did this, we ended up putting him back in about 9 times. After that, I was just, okay, forget it.
That's rough.
Well,
I'm so glad I don't have a 2-year-old.
yes.
Although,
It is one of my favorite ages.
Which one? 2?
I like
Ow! Kid, come on.
between 12 months to 3 years old. There's so much going on in their brain, and so much learning and so much developing, and they start communicating. And I think those are the funnest ages. But
They are
in
fun.
teenagers, when you guys were teenagers, you guys were fun teenagers for me. And it's
Yeah, because you were fun.
completely
You were the cool
different
aunt.
than raising your own kids.
I'm sorry, Francisco. I can't chase you. I'm sorry. Want to watch
Oh,
yourself have a tantrum?
Francisco.
Not fun?
you are fun, Hannah.
Sure.
Francisco.
But the fun of nieces and nephews as teenagers, you don't have the responsibility of the parent.
Right. You don't have the stress of how is this child going to turn out, and is it going to be my fault if they're screwed up? Like,
Yeah.
you just have fun with them and love them. Give them
back to
candy.
parents.
Chase. Chase. Why don't you chase yourself?
So we go to not Quick Trip. What was it?
AM PM.
And get ice cream for breakfast.
Yes. Right?
Remember Penguin
Yeah.
yogurt?
Yes.
Get off your brother. Get off your brother. You're gonna hurt him.
Frozen yogurt is really good to me, actually.
That sounds really good right now. Frozen yogurt.
It does.
Mhm.
Sam's Club has good frozen yogurt.
Hey, quit pulling on the blinds.
Well, we need a video chat more often. It's fun to have all of us
Yeah, we
together.
should.
We do.
It'd be better for me. I mean, I enjoy it. It's better than me just sitting here all day watching Francisco's cartoons. We go out and do stuff, but we haven't in the last 2 days because Arliss had diarrhea for 2 days, and I didn't want to be dealing with that out in public.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Is he better now?
Yeah.
That's good. Is he teething still?
I don't think he is. I mean, he's got 4 teeth right now, but he's so accident prone. The poor guy. He's like banged his top 2 teeth like 5 times, and every time he does it, he starts bleeding.
Oh, yeah.
He bit himself?
Smacked his face into things.
Oh.
Like last night during the bath, he slipped and his face hit the other side of the tub.
Oh, Weston did that when he was that age. And he like hit the bridge of his nose and got double black eyes. It was really sad.
And
He looked like
Francisco, the other
I gotta fold some laundry.
one of Francisco's front teeth, I'm trying to show you, but he's not letting me, is looking like it's darker than the other. Well, a few weeks ago, he was running around and had his bottle in his mouth, his sippy cup, and he fell, and it jammed up right back there, and we think it may have damaged that tooth and killed it.
I said on it. Thank you.
Poor guy. At least it's a baby tooth.
But Arliss is always getting hurt. Always. He's always falling, smacking his head on the ground. He fell off the couch today and landed on the Lego box.
Ouch.
On his side.
Adeline was
Francisco
like
plays
that.
too rough with
Very
him.
action prone, but now she's my most coordinated athletic child. So
That's good.
I don't know.
I think it was Chris that was the one that was always accident prone of us. All my injuries were just because of my own stupidity. I wouldn't have been stabbed if I hadn't started a fight. I wouldn't have shot myself in the leg if I hadn't been playing with the bullet and hitting them with hammers. And
Yeah,
Stuff
that's
like
safe activity.
I hate to say this, Sam. Look what you have to look forward to.
Yeah, right.
So fun. It really is. I talk about it like it's not, but for the most part, being a parent is not that bad.
No.
Well,
Everyone probably hears me more often when I'm at my end of my rope
Right.
instead of all this, hey, don't push him over, rather than all the other times where we're having a really good time and they're doing really well.
Right.
I just need to vent once in a while.
mm-hmm.
And it's difficult because I don't have anyone to vent to very often. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't think I don't have a lot of family close by anymore.
Living across the country, raising kids.
Yeah, it must have been difficult.
Yes. And back then, when we first moved to Georgia, I would buy one of those phone calling cards to make long distance phone calls because, we didn't have cell phones like we do now.
Right.
Yeah.
Expensive to have a long distance phone call.
Yeah. And so, it was hard. And there was times when I didn't have a car, so I was stuck home with the kids all day long with no car while Dave was at work.
That would be difficult.
Yeah.
Well, I know what it's like though, because we went for over 2 years with just one car,
Mm-hmm.
and I just barely got a car, which is nice, but and it fits everybody better. That little Nissan Juke was a real pain in the butt. Those things
Mm-hmm.
are tiny; they hardly fit anything in there.
Along with two kids and everything that goes with kids.
Well, I've got all the stuff streamlined down to one tiny little backpack. One tiny little kid's backpack I fit their stuff into. I used a diaper bag like 3 times, and that was it.
That's because you're a man and you don't have to carry around tampons and pads.
Mm-hmm.
How big do they gotta be if you need a giant diaper bag?
Well, sometimes you got to carry a case.
It's true.
You just never know.
All I need is something big enough for a bottle of water, a little thing of extra formula, a couple diapers, and some wipes. A little change of shorts in case there's a blowout, and I'm good to go.
Do they wear the same size diapers now?
They probably could, but no. Arla sure is gonna surpass Francisco in height.
Yeah,
You got to see them next to each other. Arliss is like up to his shoulder. What did you put in your mouth?
Alexis was taller than DJ for the longest time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
DJ was short. He was small.
He was tiny.
I think Francisco is a lot like that.
Well, I think.
Poop. I hope it's not poop because you were putting it in your mouth.
I think
That
Colton's
was poop. Here, put it in your mouth. It's chocolate, dum dum. That's chocolate. That's not poop. You goober.
Poop.
Don't eat it.
It's chocolate. Put it in your mouth.
He gained a half
He
a
thinks it's
pound,
poop.
which is good. he's been having, you can't say it's spit up because it's like the food.
It's pure food.
It's food coming back up. It hasn't even been digested.
Oh, how
And
old
like
is he now?
Who's doing that?
Colton is.
Is he having digestion problems?
They're doing tests on him.
How old
So the one they did an upper GI last week, and that didn't show anything wrong with his stomach.
How old is he now?
He's almost 7 months. He'll be 7 months next week.
Okay, so he should be able to have certain solid foods then and be able to digest it at that age.
Yeah. So
Hey, no, spit that out. No,
it just
spit that out. Spit that out.
he
Spit
has
that out.
really bad reflux. And he's only, he might be 14 pounds now that he gained the half a pound.
Yeah. We had problems with Francisco gaining weight, and Arliss had a very sensitive stomach. He would throw up so much. With him, we probably should have just kept him on formula only up until a couple of months ago, instead of trying to give him solids.
See,
and you know, a lot of pediatricians suggest almost nothing but formula for the first year. Solid foods only as a thing for them to learn and explore food, and not as their primary meal.
mm-hmm. Shelby is nursing Colton.
Okay.
And they wanted more calories down him.
Yeah.
So they had her start feeding him rice cereal.
Okay.
And
he's not digesting rice cereal either?
I think he is.
Okay. Hey, be careful with your brother.
You can't feed him too much of that, otherwise he gets constipated.
Yes. That's happened with Arliss. There's the iron in it.
Mm-hmm. And then he has food allergies because he has this rash on his face that it clears up when she puts the steroid cream on it, but she
Arliss has the same exact things. Banana would make him
food allergies.
Get a rash.
He seems so little to have food problems.
And it would actually end up a rash all over Arliss's body. His cheeks, his face, his chest, his stomach, his back, his legs, his arms.
See, it's getting worse on Colton.
Yeah.
Because it used to be just his cheeks. Now it's going to like his back, a little on his leg.
Has he had allergy testing?
That's what they're doing now. I think she should get the results today.
Yeah, because then they can find out maybe there's foods that.
What kind of foods do they feed him?
Shelby feeds him. She'll give him rice cereal. She gives him avocados.
Avocado is a real big one for allergies in children. And also tummy problems. I discovered that after going to the ER twice with Arliss with projectile vomiting. And both times he had eaten avocado. Really? And he had major breakout with the rash all over him after that.
Oh.
Actually, they don't suggest avocado until like way, way older.
I think that's good to give a baby.
A lot of babies can't even process that amount of fat.
Mm-hmm.
That's too much fat for them. So Arliss, it scared me. It really scared me. The amount he was vomiting. It was like The Exorcist. Like no joke, just vomiting everywhere. If his head would have spun around, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Poor baby.
Oh.
And it was so bad that he went limp in my arms, and I was scared. I thought something bad was happening. But he had vomited so much that he used up every bit of energy, and he just went limp.
Poor baby. Parenting is no joke.
No, it isn't. I think you can get post-traumatic stress disorder from this.
Well, maybe if they can do the allergy testing, maybe it's something Shelby has to avoid too when she nurses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a big one.
Out problems. You know, like there's always going to be problems, and there's a solution somewhere, but it's so to be so
trying to find that solution. That's the fun part.
What was that?
They're trying to find the solution is the fun part. Hey,
right.
Stop climbing on the back of that chair. You're going to fall and break a leg.
Yep.
It's not if, it's just a when he ends up with a broken limb. Because this kid, from the second he can even lift himself up to something, he's been climbing and climbing up high.
Is that Arliss?
Francisco.
Oh, I've said the same thing about Adeline. She's like a circus.
I think Francisco will be accident prone like Weston.
See, Weston will break a leg and he's not even at a high height. It's like, oh,
yeah, right.
Did you break your leg?
And then break the other one later.
Yeah, and Adeline will do some crazy climb to the very top of a pine tree to save a stupid cat, and she has like monkey arms and legs and doesn't fall. But Weston will just flop down from doing the monkey bars and break a leg.
Has he had bone density test?
No. Did with their ex. They never mentioned anything about that. They said his bones looked fine in the X-ray, but they didn't do anything.
He's got hollow bird bones.
He hasn't broken any bones lately, knock on wood.
That's good.
I'm knocking for you, Jennifer.
He's going to do it today now.
Probably. He has like no pain tolerance, too. He has such a low pain tolerance. It's kind of sad that I have a hard time being empathetic when I'm like, really, how did that even hurt?
That sounds like me as a nurse. Like, why are you crying?
But the funny thing about that is I've endured some horrible, horrible pain. Yeah, I can like stub my toe and I feel like I'm dying. You know, when I was stabbed and had the tourniquet on my arm, I can't express how excruciatingly painful that was. Yet stubbing my toe
feels like it hurts so bad.
Or a paper cut.
I'm going to tell you, the worst thing ever is to have pins in your leg.
I've had them on my toe.
I don't think my leg will ever be the same.
Now, in fact, I'm actually having issues with my big toe now after what happened in 7th grade. It took this long to catch up.
Wow.
Dang.
But that toe's in constant pain now.
You're probably getting arthritis in it.
Yep, exactly. And I've also had gout in it a few times.
Ooh.
Your gout's really painful, Brandon.
It sucks. I couldn't even let the sheet of my bed touch my toe. It not even bare, like a breeze would have sent me into screaming. It hurt so bad.
That.
And I couldn't walk. I had to use a cane. And that was
No.
just a couple months after